Hiya, as most of you are probably aware, it's just a few days left now until the general election. This election is probably going to be the most important election of my life, of most of your lives too, I expect. For that reason, I've spent the last few weeks campaigning for my local Labour candidate, Ali Milani, for Uxbridge and South Ruislip, who I obviously will be voting for, and I hope you will be too. But something really interesting that I found out whilst canvassing was how many people really don't know who they're going to vote for until they get to the polling station and they're making their tick in the box. And I just think that that's crazy. So much is waiting on this election, and we really need to be making informed decisions on who it is that we're voting for. Most parliaments would, have lots of positive stats and figures to be kind of promoting themselves with in the lead up to an election. Have you seen any from the Conservative Party? Because all I've seen is attacks on the Labour Party's manifesto. The reason for that is because the legacy that they're leaving is horrendous. It's bedroom tax, it's universal credit, it's Grenfell Tower, it's the fact that there are more McDonald's in this country than there are food banks. There are now 2,000 food banks across the country, which is outrageous. Working people are having to use food banks. Poverty is so bad in this country that people can't afford to eat, people can't afford to live. Homelessness has risen under the Conservatives 165%. That's crazy. We're one of the richest countries in the world, and homelessness is at that rate. Child poverty has risen by 40% under the Conservative government. Cuts have been made left, right and centre. I'm going to read some of them out to you. The probation services have had 22% worth of cuts, Ministry of Justice 27%, the fire service 38%, police officers are at their lowest rate since the 1980s, yet crime is rising at the fastest rate in a decade. These numbers just don't add up. It doesn't make any sense. They're seeing the problems, yet all they're doing is the cutting. They're not doing anything to resolve it. They've had 9 years to resolve it. But what have they got to show? Absolutely nothing. You cannot trust this government going forward. You cannot trust Boris Johnson or any of the Conservative Party. They've had the chance to prove themselves, and yet all they've done is the complete and utter opposite. They've lied and lied and lied right up until today, continued to lie about the NHS, that he'll be funding the NHS. He's had 9 years to fund the NHS. 93% of NHS trusts in this country are currently underfunded. That's crazy. Compared to our European counterparts that are comparable to us, such as France and Sweden and Germany, we would need an extra 20 to 30 billion to be able to fund our healthcare at the rate that we need to. That's how much we're underfunding it. It's mad and it's scary. We've all seen the pictures of the young boy in Leeds, the poor boy in Leeds, that I'm sure is all in our thoughts right now. But unfortunately, that's not an isolated case. I've personally seen so many people on hospital beds in corridors, people sat on the floor in A&E, and I'm in Boris Johnson's constituency. He's not done anything to help us in our local hospital, and you'd think, this is his area, he'd be doing everything, and he's not. Instead, no, he cut 2 children's wards, and we've got some of the highest waiting times in A&E in the whole country. The doctors and nurses are absolutely fantastic, but they're being underfunded and under-resourced, and they're not able to do their job properly. They're going to continue to do this going forward. There's a really good website where you can look at what will be projected for your local area, or the local area of Ludford. It's called www.nhscuts.org.uk. If you type in your postcode, you will be able to see the cuts that are predicted under a Conservative government going forward. Think about the people that you know that are most vulnerable. What would happen if they had a fall and they were relying on one of those hospital services? I've seen so many people suffer from cuts to the ambulance service and cuts to the NHS, myself included. I rely heavily on our NHS, and I'm on a decent salary, yet if it was to be privatised I wouldn't be able to afford it. I worry about not just privatisation or it being sold off in a trade deal to Trump, worst case scenario, which is looking very likely, but worry about more and more cuts to the NHS. I worry how that's going to impact me if I can't see my doctors and my specialists and my physio as often as I need to, or if waiting times increase. Schools is another area which has had masses of cuts to them, 5.4 billion worth of cuts. Well, obviously we've seen tuition fees rise. It's making it harder and harder for working normal people like myself and like many of you to progress. It's making it harder for us to excel in life, to have equal opportunities to those like Boris who have gone to Eton and those private schools, those very privileged people. It breaks my heart. It really, really does break my heart, and it scares me so much for the next generation. There's another site that you can go on, and it's called schoolcuts.org.uk. There you can type in your school, your kid's school, your cousin's school, your godkid's school, your grandchildren's school, whatever, you get the point. And there you'll be able to see the projected cuts that will be made per pupil and as an overarching cost to that school under a Conservative government. I looked at what cuts would be made to my past schools, my secondary schools and my primary schools, and it's frightening and it's worrying. Boris Johnson has continued to say that he's going to fund our NHS and fund our police and fund our schools. But if you look at his track record of voting and and look at all the things that he's lied about, can you truly say that you trust this man and you believe this man? Because I don't. And I'm concerned, and you should be concerned too. This man is not fit to be Prime Minister, you know. He's offended everyone. He's made derogatory comments towards everyone from single parents to black people to brown people to Muslims to Jewish people. He's literally made every racist and derogatory comment you could think of, yet the media let him get away with this. They let him get away with it because those rich media organisations and corporations work with Boris. They benefit from Boris's policies. Not us. Not normal working people. We don't. And we won't do under his government. So please, please going forward, think about how you're going to vote. Think about who you're going to vote for, regardless of what you think about Labour or Jeremy Corbyn. Think about the future. Think about the policies. You know, the media have really painted this man in a completely negative, untrue light. This man has campaigned his whole life for equality and for justice, for Nelson Mandela, for homelessness, for education, for every cause there is that is important right now. This man has campaigned for climate change. Boris Johnson, it's crazy. Climate change is the biggest issue facing the world right now, and yet Boris Johnson only today was on a private jet for 25 minutes when he could have got a train or took him an hour. This man does not care about us. He does not care about our planet. He does not care about working people. I know that people have reservations. They keep saying, where's the money going to come from? The answer to that is the money's going to come from large companies that currently don't pay tax, the likes of Amazon, the likes of Vodafone, Starbucks, Cafe Nero, etc. Those big businesses that pay absolutely zero tax despite the fact that they make millions. It's crazy. Those are the people that say back to me, oh, but they'll just leave the country. They'll go and trade elsewhere. No, it's not true. It's not true, because if you look at the likes of Germany and France, the proposed tax rates aren't even as high as they are in those countries, and they're still there. So they're not going to leave here at all. That's just scaremongering from our media and from the Conservative Party. Those people that think that they're going to be falling short under a Labour government, unless you earn over £80,000, you won't see any increase in tax. In fact, you'll see reductions in how much you're paying for your water, for your train fees, for your broadband. Obviously, free broadband will be brought in. If you do earn £82,000, you'll only be paying an extra £8.33 a month in tax. Now that's nothing. I would happily pay an extra £8.33 in tax, and I don't earn anywhere close to that, not even half. It's crazy. Those people that do earn £82,000 or more, most of you have benefited from our public services, whether it be our schools or our healthcare, our police, our fire services, regardless of whether you went to a state school or get private healthcare. Those doctors were probably trained by by people within the NHS or taught by people within state schools. You know, it's all working together. It's about making a society that's more equal, gives equal opportunities for everyone, give back in a world that's given and given and given. You know, our university fees have gone up, but yet the people that have raised them had free education. It's crazy. We're being punished, yet you got all the things that you're taking away from us, and you want us to achieve the same. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So please do think about it. Do take all these things into account. We're not looking to punish anyone that's worked hard for their money. We're not looking to do that at all. We're looking to create a society that's more fair, that's more equal, that helps the most vulnerable, that helps our children, our elderly. So do have a look at who your local candidates are. Have a look at tactical voting. There's no point voting Labour if it's between Lib Dem and Conservative in your area and your vote is just going to be wasted. Do have a look and see who it is that's worth voting for to make a difference in this country, because we need change. You know, we really, really, really need change, and I'm scared about what will happen if that change doesn't come on Friday.